What's up, coaches? Thomas here from MyCoach Ai, and today I want to talk a little bit about client communication and specifically automating some of your client communication so you can stay super scalable and super efficient with everything. Now, of course, client communication is really important, and what we don't want to do is just throw any personalization and customization out of the window, but we do want to keep our systems scalable and efficient so you not spend hours and hours every single day messaging people and checking in with them, where some of these things can, of course, be automated. Now, what I don't mean by keeping personalization, even though you're using auto messages, what I don't mean is that everything needs to sound and look like it is being typed and drawn up in the very moment. I mean, at the end of the day, we are in 2025. Clients are aware of how things go. They may be running businesses themselves, and auto messages are simply part of the process of really any business that wants to stay scalable and ahead of the curve. So it is not that important that clients, just do not notice at all that something's an auto message. Of course, in some cases they may not notice, but what does matter is that we automate certain client communication, engagement, and checking in with them through messages without constantly being on the go typing these things out. And even if the client, just knows that it's maybe an auto message, if it is pertaining to their actual journey, if it does actually help them and has to do with what they are doing in the moment, these are incredibly powerful things that we can leverage that can absolutely just boost engagement and keep you super efficient. So I want to show a couple examples of how we can do that, and we're going to show a couple things in the MyCoach Ai system of how you can set certain things like that up. And there's really two major examples of this that I want to show today. And the first one is going to have to do with programs, because I've said it time and time again, programs inside of MyCoach Ai, one of the biggest things that we can do here is setting up real client journeys, not just a quick workout split, not just generic things. What we can do with programs inside of MyCoach Ai, because there's so many different elements that we can add to it for engagement, is really draw out certain processes that are really engaging and actual client journeys. And that comes to messages too. I'm just going to go into a quick program here that is already kind of set up in a certain way. And we have certain workouts in here. And auto messages in MyCoach Ai can be scheduled to go out at certain times on certain days linked to programs, which in and of itself is super useful. But be careful and purposefully do this. Set these automated messages up in a way that they actually relate to the journey that you have been building. These can be high in volume. And I've seen coaches being super successful with even multiple auto messages per day, leveraging these constantly. Again, even if clients know it's automated, it absolutely helps guide them through their journey and can happen completely autonomously and automated. So a good example is we have, for example, a workout here on this Monday, right? We have a workout that the client is going to go through. What we can absolutely do is set up an auto message just to check in with them before they even go do their workout. Or maybe at the end of the day when they've already done the workout and checking in with them how it was. And what you may be trying to do is actually get them to respond to that message and engage in conversation with you. And that's where you can come in and manage, actively manage those conversations. But those conversation starters can be automated, right? So for example, here we have on this Tuesday a leg day. So what I may do is go to the bottom, go to our smart actions and select the send auto message feature. And notice how you can also select a time. So like I said, if we want to send something out literally at 8 a.m., they receive a push notification of it. We can set up a certain auto message that checks in with them and literally just, talk about the workout that is coming up. Today, got a heavy leg day coming up. Make sure you hydrate well. And afterwards, let me know how it went. How do you feel? Even if the client knows this is automated, this is great for engagement, may be that extra little motivational push rather than just not hearing anything from you at all. Or it can also be in a different way. Maybe you want to set something up that sends, at 9 p.m. So at the end of the day, presumably they've already done the workout and you're just checking in with them. How was that? How do you feel? Any feedback for yourself? Any feedback for me on the workout? These type of things get your client potentially to respond to it. Are great conversation starters. And even if they don't, it's just a great way to stay on top of things and let them know that you're there, you're on top of things. Right? So that's a great way to leverage auto messages, and not just around workouts on these days. Again, they can be multiple times a day. They can be on rest days, right? Giving a couple extra tips for their rest day, or because on their rest day don't get anything from you by default because they're not doing a workout, it may be a great way to fill the gaps and keep people engaged in moments that they don't have a bunch of other tasks that they need to complete from you as a coach. So automated messages that are added throughout the programs are super powerful. Relate them to the journey in the places where it matters most, in the gaps between workouts, all these different types of things, and they will automatically send out to anyone who's attached to these programs and goes through them. And the cool thing is that you can first set these up generically, right? So what we did here, if we go to set up a certain message and type it out, we can leave out any names. But the cool thing is that when you then go to assign a program to any client, say we go to Christian here, and we have assigned a certain program to Christian, like we have right here, we can go find those auto messages and we can just quickly even add the name in if we really want to do that. Again, not 100% needed. It's totally fine if these clients know that it's somewhat automated, right? Now, another really, really cool type of auto message that we offer inside of MyCoach Ai. Now, this is super unique. I'm going to go here to the global settings, to the default client settings, and find this section that is called the default auto messages. Now, these are really, really unique, and pay attention here. These send with triggers. So these are already pertaining to what the client is doing and is not doing. So it means that something happens with the client. They complete something, they don't complete something. We'll see here in a second. And then based on that, you can set up a custom message that sends out to them, for example, the next day. If we go to create new here, we can see some of those triggers. So they may include a client missing a workout, a client missing a meal or missing a check-in. Super useful one, this one. Completing a workout, finishing meals, completing everything for the day even. This is so useful, and you can select what time the next day this sends out. So if I want to select 8 a.m. the next day and say that if a client does miss a check-in, you can set up a custom message here that reminds them like, hey, let's make sure we stay on top of our check-ins. These are super important. And what may end up happening is the client gets reminded, they go back in, complete the check-in, and you can go and review that completed check-in without actually even noticing in the first place that it was not completed by the client. Right? It's not only for things that they miss. Missing a workout, missing a check-in, these are great because when the client goes to slack and kind of goes off track, these are great ways to get them back on track without you having to be constantly monitoring every single thing they do. The system does that for you a little bit and, does that initial engagement. But also for things that they are completing. Right? Keep them motivated. It will be great for a client if they complete everything for the day and they are proud of themselves for it. The message comes through that acknowledges that. So client completing everything for the day is an awesome one as well. This is something where you set up a message and once they actually complete every task on their schedule, so this may be a workout, it may be other items, like tracking or whatever it may be. If you complete all of those things, then it will tell them, good job, whatever message you set up there. And that can be really, really powerful to just acknowledge that from a client in the moment. Keep them motivated, keep them super engaged. So once again, these are automatically set up kind of in the way that clients go through their own respective journeys. These are not even just linked to certain times and certain days on the program. And using a combination of these, as well as the auto messages within the programs like we just went over, can be a very powerful combination and can feel for the client like you're really there with them, going through their journey and their experience, right? These are things that just provably and demonstratively are known to increase motivation, increase engagement from clients, and in return probably is going to reduce things like churn and, maybe even more importantly, make sure that clients' results are just where they need to be. So it's these type of automations that keep you as a coach scalable. So you don't have to constantly micromanage everything in the system, especially if you have a lot of clients. But at the same time, keep clients motivated and engaged. And in some cases can just be great conversation starters. So you can constantly keep up with client communication, again, in the most efficient way possible. So these are some demonstrations. Now, there's a lot more to it. So if you want to learn more about MyCoach Ai, you can check out our website. The link is in the description to watch a full demo on the system and all the different capabilities that we have. And then, of course, you can also just, sign up and try out some of these things for yourself and see what it can do for your business. See you in the next one.